Hi, this is Greg Haddad from Bailey Glasser, and welcome to my kitchen. We're going to be making spinach pies. And one of the things about spinach pies is it's a labor of love. Let me tell you, I have made more mistakes making spinach pies than you can imagine, and that's where perseverance came in. And that's what we're going to be talking about a little bit, and not to equate a cooking mishap to some of the devastating injuries I see in my clients, but perseverance, the ability to overcome their new reality, is one of the most difficult aspects of trying to help clients of mine. You know, people come and they've suffered an injury. Well, it's not just the pain and suffering that might have been part of that injury, but their new reality is they can't do the things that they once enjoyed. They can't work any longer. Those things that they identified as making themselves who they are have been taken away. And the mental aspects of that are oftentimes very difficult for a client to deal with. It's about perseverance. And in order to make a client understand how to get through these trying times, how to adapt to their new situation, is what we have to talk with our clients about. It's one thing to say, you've got an injury. It's another to analyze, what do I need to do, given that client's disability, given that client's injuries, to make their life as fulfilling as possible? Because sometimes it's not going to be going back to business as usual, and most of the times it's not. Patients who are injured, whether it be an accident or medical negligence, deserve to be compensated. Those people that caused their situation to change and change forever should be held accountable. You know, one of the things that I remember very distinctly is I was representing a gentleman, and the man was in his 70s, and he would put me to shame in terms of his work ethic. He was working at 70 years of age, not because he had to, because he wanted to, helping people out. And that guy was devastated by medical negligence to the point he became debilitated. And this gentleman, who had always taken care of himself, always taken care of his family, prided himself in being able to do all the things that he needed to do, suddenly, as his wife put it, I lost a husband and I gained a patient because she became having to become the caregiver for him. When you see that and you see their troubled eyes and you know what they're dealing with, where they don't know which way to turn, and they're looking not only in the short term, how can you help them legally, but they're thinking the long term. What's my life going to be like in a year or 2 years or 5 years? And that's where we step in as well. It's great to get them compensation, but we have to plan that part of that compensation is going to be getting them the resources so that they can function. When you represent somebody that suffered those type of injuries, you've got to look at the short term and the long term to make sure all that is accounted for. When you talk to a client about helping them in all aspects of their life, the physical aspects, the mental aspects that they're dealing with in terms of the psychological complications that arise from the result of a physical injury, and the financial burdens, if you can take that off their shoulders and put it on yours, then you can tell that client, you get better and we'll take care of the rest. Now, we're going to talk about my nemesis, the spinach pie. In terms of the mixing, we've got spinach that's chopped. I actually use the frozen spinach, just make sure you get all the water out of it. You salt it, leave it in a strainer, but you got to make sure you squeeze all the water out of it. Lemons, large onion finely chopped, salt and pepper, and I've actually put pomegranate seeds in this. They add great flavor and they're beautiful. Now, when I used to make this, and still do, I use my own bread. That's a labor of love in and of itself, but you don't have to go through that process. You can buy now frozen dough, and it works pretty well. So I'm going to use, actually, for this recipe, some frozen bread, and the instructions are pretty simple on the frozen bread. And after you take it out and you let it rest, then you form it in about a 2-inch ball, and you let that rest a couple of hours, and then it's ready. And you put it on a floured surface, make sure it doesn't stick, press it out with your fingers. You want to get it to about the thickness of pie crust. Then you just simply take a spoon of your spinach, onion, pomegranate mixture, and you lay it right there in the center. And then you take it and you simply make a triangle out of it. Squeeze one side. You got to make sure that, this is where I always fall down, you make sure that that dough is pinched together well. You make a nice triangle, and there you have it. Now what I like to do, and I've made some here just to show you what they're going to look like. When I put them in the oven, I brush them with a little oil. Both browns it a little bit on top, which I kind of like, as well as takes away some of that flour taste that you get from the surface. Now as far as baking them, you throw them in the oven. Now if you make your own bread, it's 400 until the spinach pies are nice and brown. If you use frozen dough, follow the directions on the frozen dough. The spinach, it'll cook. You don't have to worry about that. It's all about the bread. Not as pretty as my mother made it, but they're just as tasty. If you try the recipe and it doesn't work, trial by error is one of the best experiences you can have. Try again, don't give up. And if you're a client of ours at Bailey Glasser, you can bet we're not going to give up on you. And we're going to empower you through all of our efforts, all of our resources, all of our time to make sure that you're able to persevere.